What's up, guys? It's been 10,000 to watch you, your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh! Superhero, and today, guys, I'm going to be smashing some misconceptions about Lightsworn decks. I know, I'm about to blow your minds. Stick around. Alright, guys, so this idea for this video comes directly from the Lightsworn Sanctuary Facebook group, and yes, I do have it up on my screen so I can see it. This was posted by a guy named Kevin. He was talking about basically trying to reform the Lightsworn's way of thinking, and, you know, he had a bunch of questions, and one of them was, number 2, this is the one that really caught my eye. Why do we use virtually no traps whatsoever? And he's referring to Lightsworn players in general not using trap cards. And that's a misconception, actually. A lot of us do use trap cards. So today, guys, I'm going to give you 10 trap cards that you can use in a Lightsworn deck that are very useful. Alright, guys, so the first trap card we're going to talk about is called Lightsworn's Judgement. This card is obviously the first trap card Lightsworn players are probably going to want to use. Obviously, these will be variant pending, but this is across the board. Of all the basic Lightsworn decks that we can play, this is just a handful of trap cards we can use. So the first one being Lightsworn Judgement. Obviously, if you're playing a more pure variant, or a variant that is very heavily focused on those said Lightsworns, you obviously could play Lightsworn's Judgement. It gets milled, you get to basically search a Judgment Dragon for free. So who doesn't want that? Also, you can use this card to keep yourself from decking out. So, and that, as every Lightsworn player knows, that is a heavy weakness we all share. Number 2! This one's a little bit more obscure, and it's called Typhoon. This trap card is very interesting. It reads, target one face-up spell/trap card on your field, destroy it. If your opponent controls 2 or more spells and trap cards, and you control no spell or trap cards, you can activate this card from your hand. Basically, we can just activate it almost at any point. It's like a hand trap. The only real condition we have to worry about is our opponent has to have 2 or more, which, depending on the deck, like say something like Altergeist, this is possible to get off. And then, of course, Typhoon, the second part being that we don't have any magic trap cards on the field because we don't normally play that. Most of our spells and traps aren't set on the field. They're either activated right away or activated in the graveyard. So Typhoon makes a really easy hand trap, so to speak. Number 3 is a little bit more of a sideboard card, and it's a rather old one, so this one may not necessarily apply to today's game as much, but it's still just as powerful as it was when it first came out against the particular deck I'm thinking of, and it's Mischief of the Gnomes. This particular card was very useful against the Burning Abyss deck back in the Xyz era. Basically, or any Xyz deck, truth be told, you basically flip this card or banish it from the graveyard and you reduce the level of all monsters in the field. So both players, all their monsters go down by 1 level. Now in this Link era that may not matter, but caveat here, Burning Abyss did get some indirect support from Light of Sekka, the spell card, the draw spell. So a lot of these players have come back. So they make like a Link play, or they'll go for the standard Dante Beatrice play. So basically, what you'll want to do is, one second they get that second monster on the board, you go Mischief of the Gnomes, and they're both level 2. And your opponent either has to make a Link play, which might be, in a Burning Abyss deck, frankly suboptimal. Number 4 on the list is a Breakthrough Skill. So Breakthrough Skill is quite an obvious one. We've been using it in the past, and actually we can use it inside it today. The point of Breakthrough Skill is to have an ability to negate something on the field from the graveyard, because we are a graveyard-based deck. That's where our core of our power comes from for this particular archetype. So basically, we can set this thing, flip it, negate something, and then on our turn, if somebody tries to, say, put a Crystal Wing on the board, or a Great Wizard, would probably be a more accurate card that can negate us. We could simply just, or they try to Firewall bounce you could go Breakthrough Skill from the graveyard. No, I'm just kidding, don't do that last part. Alright, number 5 on the list is Spiritual Swords of Revealing Light. Now, obviously, Electromagnetic Turtle would probably be the better card for you to play. And this card does have a caveat. If you choose to use this card and set it and flip it, you have to remember you are paying life points to negate attacks, which in this current way of playing the game, that may be suboptimal. However, it does have a really cool graveyard effect. And this trap card's graveyard effect will allow a player to negate the entire battle direct attacks on the player. So, for example, if you were up against a Trickstar player, you simply go, I can't be attacked directly. You just flip this and then they can't swing at you. So either you have no monsters or they play the, I think it's called Lilybell, I think. It's the one that has 800 attack and attacks directly. Basically, you stop that entire play. So, there you go. Practical card, practical deck. Now, this next one you might want to be siding if you were up against, say, Gokis. I wouldn't main deck this next one. But number 6 on the list is Skill Prisoner. Skill Prisoner, basically, you target a monster on your side of the field, and your opponent can't target that monster with monster effects. Seems pretty good, right? There's no spinning it back, there's no bouncing it back to the hand, there's no destroying it with the Fiend Nightmare monster. Cerberus? Yeah, Cerberus. That's the one. I couldn't say the name in my head for the life of me. Basically, your opponent can't target it, and that's its real power there. It's basically, especially if you know you're going to be up against a deck that really just throws out those nightmare monsters. Also, this will protect your monsters from things like Firewall. If you see it coming, you can just go, yeah, nope. My card is sticking around. The next one's something that's a little more commonly played and more, I guess you want to say, current way of playing the game. Phantom Knights of Shade Brigadine. I don't know if I pronounced that right, so forgive me if I didn't. But the point is to say this card basically says if you don't have any trap cards in your grave, you flip this bad boy up, and it's a free level 4 monster. And who doesn't want that, right? Basically, if you're going for Minerva Turbo, or even if you want to play this in a Phantom Knight based deck, I mean, you're probably still playing Fairy Tale Snow if you're playing like the, what they called PK Thunder back in the day. It wasn't a very popular deck, don't freak out. But it was a variant of Lightsworn, and its nickname was, at least in my local area, was PK Thunder. And the idea is you either went for Minerva or you went for Dante, but I digress. You still play Fairy Tale Snow either way. This next one is a very popular trap card, but we can play this too. It's called Infinite Impermanence. And the idea of Infinite Impermanence is basically it's Effect Mailer in the trap card. But if you don't control anything, you can just drop it. Which is very useful for the Lightsworn deck, as we don't always win the dice roll. So having a trend, you could also apply this to something like Evenly Matched, for example, because it's the same concept. If you don't win the die roll, these trap cards at least give you a chance to either stun the opponent to where maybe you can make a play, or completely wipe the board so you can make a play. Alright, this next one, I want to say the 9th one on the list, is very similar to Breakthrough Skill, but it has a few more different kinds of utility in this current game. Lost Wind. Now, the reason why you might want Lost Wind is because, to be frank, the Lost Wind trap card basically can half monsters' attack points, which might save your life points or allow you to beat over something, as well as negating a monster effect. And since we're in a link-heavy format, this is a monster that comes from the extra deck, so this thing can automatically come out again and be used very quickly, as opposed to Breakthrough Skill, where it can only be used in your turn in the graveyard. Lost Wind can just come out in their turn, and then you can use it, or if they don't, you can use it on your turn, or if it sticks around long enough, you can use it on theirs, if they're more focused on getting rid of your monsters. So, and this last one, number 10 on the list of these cards, is the most crazy personal tech for all of my Lightsworn decks. This is the card I play, and I swear by it. So if for every my fellow Lightsworn players are looking at me and going, "Bah!" This is about to be you guys. I'm about to trigger you guys, so you've been warned. This one's called Rise to Full Heights. So you're probably like, what the hell? So there's the reason why this card is played is there's a combo with Cypher Lord Omega. Basically, you make an Omega, which is really easy in a Lightsworn deck. That's Thrasher Raiden, Wolfen Raiden, boom, Omega, done. So you get Rise to Full Height in the grave, and then basically you have a lock with Omega. So you're basically gonna rise, and then you're gonna banish, and then You know, during the standby phase, you'll put it back. Your opponent will never get to swing at you. That's the point. So the idea here is to say that, oh, look, you didn't get to swing at me, so, you know, eventually I get to throw a board out there. The other part of it is this card acts like electromagnetic turtle at the very least. So your opponent's going to activate something like Cerberus, or, you know, they could activate, you know, a Black Rose, or they could activate a Firewall Bounce or whatever. Then you chain Rise to Full Height to that monster, and then your opponent can't attack you because that monster is no longer there. So, this has been my list of 10 trap cards that any Lightsworn player can use. If you guys want more, I can give you more. I can even help you guys out based on variant of the deck that you're playing, and I can tell you which ones belong and which ones, but that's up to you. We're gonna have a conversation in the comments below on this one, so if you guys, if there's any further confusion, feel free to leave questions. If there's any deck that I know better than anything in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's going to be Lightsworn. That is my baby. So, anyway, guys, I'm Ben 10,000 Joe, your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.